I am going to share with you what has become my biggest source of inspiration. I think that it might work for you too. So here goes. There are 4 or 5 pro basketball players that I have just grown to love. And it's not just because they're so great on the court, which they are, but it's because of some attitudes that they have, the mindset, the heart, the courage, fearlessness, their discipline, the work ethic. Some of these guys are just like on a whole nother planet, and I want to talk about it. This list includes Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Let me start talking about Shaquille. Shaquille O'Neal calls himself, or says that when he was a boy, he was a juvenile delinquent of the highest order. He did some of everything. He was a really, really bad boy. And he said that his stepfather, or his father, dealt with him accordingly. His stepfather even came to school and whipped him in the classroom in front of everybody because he was so doggone bad. We all know that instead of being a bum like some of his teachers thought he would become, or to go into the service like some folks said he would probably do, he became an absolutely legendary basketball player. But what I am inspired by most is not his skills on the court. It's the way that he is trying to live his life as a man. For example, he said his father told him on his deathbed to take care of the family. And so he considers it his duty as a man to be the protector and the provider for his family. And it's not just his own children and spouse. It's his brothers and sisters, their kids, etc. He really tries to provide for all of them. But he goes further than that. And he does it without fanfare. For example, he said that when he was young, his father would take them and they would go to the army post that was nearby. And there might be things that the army was throwing away, like old blankets or spam or whatever. And they would collect them and go out and give those things to the homeless. Or one day they were going to get some hamburgers, and his father saw this old homeless man sitting on the street. He had on his army stuff. And Shaquille's dad pulled over, and they started to talk. And his father actually knew the platoon that this guy was in. And they talked about, did you know so-and-so? Yeah, I knew, blah, blah, blah. The father had 5 big cheeseburgers or something like that in the sack that they were going to take home because they had all eaten. And people in the car with his father was saying, the mother and Shaq, save those. Like, I'm going to eat those later tonight. But no, his father got out and gave him those cheeseburgers, gave the homeless man those cheeseburgers as well as some money. He said to him before he died that when you get big, help the people who need help, who don't have anything. Make that a part of what you do as your responsibility. And he has. From what I understand, Shaq was not the hardest worker in his NBA role. But whenever it was game day, he came to play. And he gave it his all. And he didn't take no stuff, as they say. But he also had fun. You can see him dancing and acting goofy and stuff like that. And that lightheartedness is something to see in a man like Big Diesel. He talks about his relationship with Kobe Bryant and how he realized afterwards, particularly after Kobe passed, that he, Shaq, had been an ASS to Kobe. And he regretted that for the rest of his life. Shaq regretted that for the rest of his life. Because he said that Kobe was somebody with whom together they created history. And he has the utmost respect for him and the utmost love. And there are lots of clips that you can find showing how much love he had for Kobe Bryant. But basically, Shaq is someone who doesn't take his wealth for granted. He tries to use it for good, and you don't see him going around trying to make it a promotional event, like, look at me, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Many of the things he does, nobody even know about. He sees this child in the store with his mother who's trying to buy him a bicycle. He buys a bicycle for them. He gets an email from this little girl, mother who had cancer. The little girl had cancer. And she was a big Shaq fan. And so the mother wrote to Shaq and said she really admires you. She wants to see you, blah, blah, blah. And Shaq said, okay, I'll be there. And the mother thought that it really probably wasn't Shaq answering her. But he went. He went and he spent time with the little girl in the hospital.